Hi guys, welcome back to Gigi and the Teddies, where we learn about ascension. Let's get started. Good morning, Gigi.
Well, thank you, Teddy. And how are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. We've had a pretty good week. I've been suffering with some allergy stuff, but I guess it's just that time of the season. Can't complain. We're having a fantastic October. The twins are back to support me today so that I look in the right area. Aren't they cute? They were giving me back, let's see, for the 100th anniversary of the teddy bears. And they're actually slippers, but I won't wear them because I love teddy bears. So they have a little special area where they sit next to my bed. But they're so cute. I love them. So the last time we were here, we started to talk about the mind. The mind, to me, is one of the most fascinating aspects when you think about it. The brain and its functions are amazing when you think about that too. And, we're told that, all our nerve endings, all the messages, they travel from the brain down through the body and all that. But then when you think about it, you can have somebody with, a spinal cord injury. Does the heart stop? Does the breathing stop? There are some messages that still get to the legs because the legs' nerves will jump. So it has to be a little bit more than what's been explained to us. But then comes the mind. And I like to look at the mind like it's a filing cabinet. All right? And I want to say we have two filing cabinets. We have one that I call the filing cabinet that we're going to learn to use, and the other filing cabinet that's become a habit. Now, who do you suppose the filing cabinets belong to? They belong to the mind. And in reality, we weren't told about either one of the filing cabinets. We just accepted it is what it is. And we didn't understand that we could choose from the filing cabinets if we so took the time to look at situations and realize both filing cabinets don't pertain to anything on the outside of us. Both cabinets pertain to something very important on the inside of us. Okay? Now you say, so what's in these filing cabinets, Gigi? Well, let me see. How are we going to do this? Let's say that you're presented with a situation. And all of a sudden, you get this like, oh, geez, I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do that. Oh, my gosh, this stuff drives me crazy. What are these people thinking of? Okay, so I think that's our habit filing cabinet. But what I have found is when we run and grab something out of that habit filing cabinet, we're usually being diverted away from something that possibly could change everything for us. So what would stop us? Now those I call the filters. Fear can stop us. Oh, I don't want to try to do that. No. That could be just the fear of failing. I don't like to do that. Might be that it's just so entailed in learning something new that you divert away from it again for fear of failing. Or some people don't like to learn in front of other people. So they'll come up with all these little reasons why they don't want to do something just because it's in front of other people. I again use that terminology that I used before. God gave them a head that turns. They don't have to watch you. They don't have to look at you. And if they are, I look at it like if they're looking at me and they're teasing me or they're making fun of me or they're talking behind my back, all those wonderful things that human beings have in their file cabinets, then I just think that I'm fortunate because it doesn't bother me. And so therefore, let them have their fun. Because while they're doing it with me, and they think in their own file cabinet, there's that, oh, this is bothering her. I know this is getting to her. That's their path. And if that's the way they want their path to go, so be it. But it doesn't change my path unless I allow it to change my path. If I allow it, then I start to worry about what they think. Then I start to worry about what they're going to say to the friends or the neighbors or, my boss. I can't tell you how many times I've had bosses that, I was always taught, you go to work, you do your job, you come home, and things go pretty smooth. When you don't do your job, it's your boss's job then to say, wait, look, you're kind of slacking here or you're slacking there. How many times do you hear people come home and rather than accept that as help to stay on the path for what you want out of your job, people will look at it and criticize them, the boss or the person that pointed out your failure. They never want to look at themselves and admit and go, well, yeah, I do that. Okay? I had one boss at one time in my life, and they sat me down for an interview. And they said to me, we've gone over everything. We had to really try to find something to talk to you about today. Now, I found that kind of intriguing, that you don't feel that you could just interview somebody with all positive. You've got to find something that they can better themselves with. So I thought they did a great job at struggling with that. Then they came up with this saying that kind of made me laugh. And they said that I could learn to be, I came to work, I did my job, I accepted overtime, I stayed if I had to late, I never complained. Because I really loved what I did for work, and that's important in your life too. But then they said I could be just a little more diplomatic when I was explaining things to people. And I just chuckled. And I explained to them that if I chose to take the time to think of how to be more diplomatic, first off, I'm wasting their money. Second, I'm wasting my time. Third, nobody could take what I ever said and turn it around to mean anything other than what it was truly meant to be. There were not 3 or 4 meanings to what I could say that could be misconstrued. But then I wanted to applaud them with the amount of time they took to try to come up with something to help me to better myself. And they just laughed and laughed and said, get out of here. But isn't it true? So many times you go to work someplace and it's like they want everybody to be like these little robots. And they want you all to act the same way and all to say the same things. Now, I never would say anything to hurt somebody's feelings. But I might be right direct. I'm not going to pussyfoot around it. I'm not going to make it so that, you don't get your feelings hurt. And if you get your feelings hurt, grow by that. You think I've gone through life and nobody's ever hurt my feelings? Of course they have. But then I looked at, why did it hurt? Was it true? Or was it a reflection of something they were dealing with? And it's very difficult sometimes to be honest with yourself. But so many people take it from the habit file to just complain about what somebody else said rather than look and see and be honest with themselves as it was the truth. I've always kind of chose to go to the truth file. And that file's not always easy to use, is it? Even with yourself. Think about it. Are you honest with yourself? All these files are filled with information that you have gathered in your lifetime. All the reactions that you have to everything in a lifetime come from the habit file. Habits are formed by observation. So generally, either the people that you are around or the people that you were raised by or the neighbors that you observe all the time. This was their reaction to when this happened, so that must be the right reaction to have. And we've all done it. Somebody says something about us, we get defensive. It's kind of an automatic reaction, isn't it? To defend the self. And what amazes me is you'll carry that defense for eternity. That comment will stay in that file and be pulled out every time somebody else acts that way toward you. And your reaction will be the same each and every time. Now what if we go to the other file? What if we tried to make that file the habit file? So we change what's become a habit. Now we're going to look at the truth. Is what that person said real about you? And you just don't want to face it? And if you don't want to face it, why? This is part of the cleansing. This is part of bringing up things inside of you that you've never dealt with, honestly. And we've all done it. There isn't a living soul here that hasn't. But when we can take them out and look at them honestly, only then do we start to learn from them. So let's say you're a married couple, and I had somebody come to me and they were having problems because it seemed like the husband wasn't happy, and how could they fix that for him, and how could they make it so that, he wasn't quite so miserable, and blah, blah, blah. First off, we can't change somebody else's path. So that was the first thing I explained to the person. You can't change his path. You can only change your own. And how would you change your own path in those circumstances? It's going to be your reaction toward him. When he comes home like that, are you irritated? Are you thinking, oh God, here we go again? I could tell, when I was married, I could tell when my husband got out of the truck just by the muscle tone in his face what kind of evening I was in for. He didn't like it that I could read him that well, but oh well, so be it. But if you look at that, it's kind of like seeing an accident down the road and you think, oh, I'm going to have to bear to the right a little bit here. You don't think anything of that. You don't hold it against the people that had the accident. You prepare yourself for what's ahead. Now, if we start to do that, if we start to observe people rather than just react to people, then we can prepare ourselves for what's ahead. And sometimes you just have to let them come home and maybe go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about what a horrible day they've had. They can't let it out at work, or they'll get called in the office for being negative at work, for, causing trouble at work, for not having positive energy at work. So they have to kind of wait till they're home. It's kind of like your kids. My mother always said, if you're going to misbehave at home, but behave while you're out. I thought that was kind of cute. But what I'm saying is, if that was you, you wouldn't mean it against the person. You wouldn't mean it against your husband. If you'd had a bad day and you come home and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this and that, and blah, blah, I could have pulled my hair out. Blah, blah. You're not throwing that at him. You're just spitting it all out. So I always advise people to just kind of sit quietly and let the person vent. Then afterwards you might say to them, Jesus, I'm sorry you had a bad day, or sounds like you had a rough day. Can I make you a cup of tea, a cup of coffee? Would you like a hot bath? Offer some condolence. They may not even be aware that they're going on like that because they've taken it from the habit box. And you don't want to start in going, oh my God, every day you come home, all you do is complain, complain, complain. That's the habit box. So we're at 14 minutes, so I've got to say the prayer and end this. But I'm going to continue this today, and we'll go on with this. So let me bless you now in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen and namaste.
May you be blessed till we meet again. Namaste.